All right, folks, what is going on? Back with another episode. This is 428 of the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller, and today I want to talk about our coach. I'm not going to wear any shades today. If you watch the show on, YouTube and Rumble, I usually wear shades because of the light or whatever, but I don't want to wear shades today. I want to really, talk to you guys about our coach. I know there's some things going on with, the Atlanta Falcons is, hate Saints week. We're going to talk about that in a later episode this week. But I'm really focused on this Georgia Southern Eagles because what has been happening in the last 48 to 72 hours is something that I feel that needs to be talked about. And then we're not going to talk about stats. We're not going to talk about the game with Morgan State. We're not even going to talk about, well, I guess we're going to talk about Nebraska for a little bit, but the preparation of this team and what's going on. I think this is going to be the first time we actually get to see the change that we wanted to see in Georgia Southern from the last regime to this regime. And I'm going to talk about that in this episode. If this is your first time here, welcome. This is the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller. I mostly talk about Georgia Southern and Atlanta Falcons football for the most part. I am on YouTube and Rumble. I'm also on Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. Before I get into this episode, I want to run something by you guys. I know this show is usually up at 9 in the morning, every morning, Monday through Friday. I'm in the works of changing that. It's probably going to be, in other words, you're probably going to have earlier access to the show. But I'm going to talk about that probably in the next episode. I want to make sure I get everything right. But as of right now, this show will be up at 9 a.m. But we are probably going to be moving the show up a little bit. And I'll talk about that on the Wednesday show. But nevertheless, just keep that in the back of your mind as far as programming changes or whatever the case may be. Other than that, let's go ahead and get into this. Georgia Southern is headed to Lincoln, Nebraska to play Nebraska. This team, for all intents and purposes, we say that we can beat this team. I believe we can. But I also feel that this is not going to be an easy task by no means. I feel that Georgia Southern has a really good shot. Looking at what Nebraska has done in the past, 2 games, even with last year when they went 3-9. But I also will say that what's going on with this team, Nebraska, we need to be careful with this team. We need to go in there and play with discipline. We need to know our assignments. We need to play clean football. And I think we don't have a problem with that. But we have to be prepared to play a Power 5 school. Even though this team is, in all intents and purposes, not your typical Power 5 school, they have been putting up some pretty good numbers. I think their running back is like number 3 in rushing, and their quarterback is like number 1 in the Big Ten or something like that in passing. Like I said, I don't want to talk about stats, but I really just want to talk about the preparation Coach Clay Helton has got these players going into this game. And they're not taking this lightly at all, by no means. And it is a really cool thing to see. Already, it is Wednesday, but already, when you look at Monday and Tuesday and what they've done, if you watch the press conference, if you watch Georgia Southern live, with I watched both of those, and the way these kids are talking, the way they're carrying themselves, the way Coach is speaking as well, there's a stark difference between what we've seen with the prior regime, going to LSU, going to Clemson, going to Arkansas. It just feels different this time going to Nebraska. And I'm not saying it because Nebraska is Nebraska and, they've been, they're not the Clemsons or the LSUs or, they're not the Arkansas. Because Arkansas was actually pretty good last year. They're not the Arkansas of the world. But they are treating this game as if they're one of those teams. And I just love the preparation that Coach Clay Helton is putting together. I don't know if not too many people are really paying attention to that, but I noticed it immediately when I was listening to the press conference that they had, earlier, Tuesday. It looked like these guys, we talked to some veterans when it came to, Bradley Glenn, and we saw what he talked about when he was talking to Kyle Van Treese. But it's one of the things I was talking about is why you want leadership on this team. A lot of guys could have went on and forget their eligibility. Coach Chad Lunsford's not here no more, so we're out. Dylan Springer, Justin Ellis, all those guys could have just left. And, we would have been with a bunch of young guys going up to Lincoln, Nebraska. Not only that we have a veteran quarterback that's going along with us, we have a guy who's been in Lincoln, Nebraska a year ago that knows what it's like to play up there. It is so valuable to have somebody like that. And it just goes back to what I was saying about Coach Clay Helton and the job that he's done in the offseason. I cannot name one bad thing that has actually happened with this, program since Coach Clay Helton came on. I think the only one thing that I wish that would have happened, honestly, one thing that I wish that would have happened, I wish, and I know y'all, we haven't talked about this in a while, and I don't want to go too far in the weeds with this, and I know, Miss Sabi, if you're listening to the show still, I appreciate you. I really wish that Sean Pelkisson was still on the team. I think that's the only thing that I really don't like about what's going on. I really wish Sean Pelkisson was still on the team. And I don't know if that's a Clay Helton thing or, should I blame the last regime for that? But I don't want to go down that road. I really wish he was here because I think he would have been a really big asset. There's another player like that too, which I'll talk about that player sometime down the road as well. But I'm going down the weeds. But when you look at what he's done, bringing veteran guys in to transfer, the Jeremy Singletons of the world, that's another one. The Christian Varnes wanted to come down and play. Also, like I said, the guys who wanted to stay, the Todd Bradley Glenn's, Dylan Springers, the Justin Ellis, this is a really big deal for getting this team prepared to go to Lincoln, Nebraska. So when you have these guys who never flown on a plane before, I know that's one of the things that they've been talking about. Guys who never flown on a plane before, guys who probably never played in a big stadium like this. Get these guys prepared and somewhat, I'm not gonna say used to, but somewhat get them accustomed to being on a big stage like that. And like I said, even though these guys are playing a team that's not the caliber of a LSU or Clemson or Arkansas, any of those guys right there, Coach Helton is putting it in them that, look, you're going up against a team like this. You're going up against a Big Ten team who got really big physical athletes. You got guys that are coming in that are going to try to make you earn everything that you want within your offense. So you better go out there and execute. Now, I think that Georgia Southern will be able to do some damage against Nebraska. I don't think Nebraska is sitting here like some world beaters or whatever. I think they're going to be able to do some things, and that's a really good sign of how well our talent is. So we need to go up there, play our game, and do what we known to do. So I can't say it enough because I feel like when you have a coach like this that gets players prepared, get guys ready to go, showing them things that other regimes may not have shown. And I don't want to go too much down the path of comparing the two, but the last regime, I don't think they did a pretty good job of preparing what we had. The LSU game, don't get me wrong. Nobody was going to beat LSU in 2019. That just wasn't happening. What was it, 2018 when we went to Clemson? I think it was 2018 or 2017. I can't remember. I think the only game that looked like we were prepared for was the Minnesota game. And, that game right there had some questionable situations as well, but it felt like we were actually, prepared for the team. But when you look at the Arkansas game, it looked like we wasn't prepared. It's just those type of things. It's like we looking at with what Coach Clay Helton is doing. It's like a totally different. It's like a totally different vibe. It's a totally different situation. And I feel that if we can be able to go up here and compete at a high level compared to what knowing what we are capable of doing and play our game, we could possibly shock the world. We could shock the world if we can do what we're supposed to do. I'm not sure, 100% if we can, but I feel like we have the team to do so. We have the coach to do so. We have the players to do so. We can spread the ball around. Something that, Nebraska is kind of suspect on, because if we spread one thing about the team, we spread that team out. If we spread that team out, we'll be able to move the ball. If you see what other players are able to, or other teams that was able to do what they do against them, I think we should be able to move the ball against them. But it just goes back to the philosophy that Coach Clay Helton, offensive coordinator Ellis, quarterback Coach Ryan Applin, what those guys are trying to do. Now, defensively, I think we're going to be okay defensively. I think one thing about the Nebraska Cornhuskers, they have some running backs. We just need to actually wrap up and tackle. But I think Will Harris will have that a little bit contained, because we had a couple of runs that got away from us, but I think we could tighten that up. But it's going to be a tall task. Now, I don't want to get too far into X's and O's and what I think is going to happen, because I want to wait till we get closer to the game. So I think one thing that we just need to do is just really tackle. If anything, I think we need to tackle, because that's one thing that is kind of our Achilles heel right now. We have not been able to tackle like we wanted to, especially against Morgan State. It was an issue. But like I said, with the preparation of what Coach Clay Helton and the company are doing, they're already emphasizing that. They're already talking about that already. I've seen it in the press conference. They talked about it on Georgia Southern Live. They're already prepared to get, they're already preparing for tackling, getting up on the ball, getting the ball to the ground, not letting nothing happen. And also on offense is trying to exploit this Nebraska defense to get some explosive plays. Probably get a turnover or two, because their quarterback is somewhat of a gunslinger. And I think Jalen White as well, they're going to try to get, these guys to actually, run the ball very well. So I feel like the preparation that Coach Clay Helton is doing so far is amazing. I really believe that. I think it's really good. I think it's looking really good so far. We're going to see how things go round about Thursday, Friday. Then we really get to see how it goes, once they go up to Lincoln, Nebraska, and see how things play out. I'm not saying that everything is going to be, peaches and cream. I don't think everything is going to be, just smooth sailing, but we're going to have to work for it. But we'll talk about that later on down the road. But kudos to Coach Clay Helton. So far, he's been doing a pretty good job. And I don't know if you watched the press conferences, or if you watch Georgia Southern Live, you listen to what he's saying. It sounds like he got these guys prepared to go up on a big stage and try to compete at the highest level possible. If you like this commentary, hit the like button. Share this podcast. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think that Coach Clay Helton is doing a pretty good job so far? Outside of that first quarter of the Morgan State game, looks like everything's been okay. Off season, everything's just been looking pretty good. The press conference and the talk on Georgia Southern Live sounds really good. I think the preparation is going well, and so far, I like how it's going. Let me know what you guys think. Once again, I'm on Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts. I'm also on YouTube and Rumble if you want to watch the visual side of the show. And we will be back on Wednesday. Like I said, I got an announcement on when the show is going to be up live. Like I said, the 9 a.m. thing is good, but I'm probably going to try to get it to you guys a little bit earlier so you guys can have better access to the show. I have more details on that on Wednesday. You guys take it easy. Thank you guys for making it this far. I Cannot thank you guys enough. All right, y'all. Y'all be blessed. Enjoy your Tuesday. Peace.